Alright, how's everyone doing? I want to be so real. I watched this last night. It's actually a little insane. Uh, Everything they decided to give us. Yeah. There, there's a lot to unpack here, so I figured we'd just watch it. And I'll give you what what I was experiencing at the time as we went. And well, probably won't be the longest stream in the world, but still, though, I just so much here. Anyway, that's yeah. Anyway, let's get started. First off, I want to point something out that I noticed already, and I feel like it's intentional because of the different art style. But wherever this is, it's technically not Teyvat. Or possibly a simulation, but not the world we're currently in. That much is certain. These people are creation. I'll keep relaying it.
This world has always been so. Life abides no reason, for none are born by their own consent.
True. No one has to be born. But, as Mewtwo once said, it's what you do with the gift of life that matters.
Death abides no reason, for it cannot be defied, even by those who see it coming.
Yep. For most, death is terrifying because it's the end. To the point where some, knowing their fate, knowing their time is almost up, will do anything to extend their lives and try to make themselves immortal. We see it all the time in reality, too. It's a little sad, but no one can cheat death.
Time abides no reason.
You, on the other hand, you were the one I wasn't expecting to see in this bloody trailer. I thought you were dead. And anyways,
For it deprives us all equally, yet brooks not a second to be reclaimed. Space abides no reason.
It is interesting though that this is she called herself the arbiter of heavenly principles, but she's just the god of space. That being said, it appears that the gods mentioned here, life, death, space, and time, are on a level above the archons. Like, if the archons are minor deities, these are the major deities that keep the laws of Teyvat in order.
Space abides no reason. The ruler of space stopped the golden-haired twin travelers and mercilessly tore them apart.
Yeah. We have that confirmation that the heavenly principles is actually just the god of space and not the true heavenly principles.
The fear... no. This looks more like Rhinedottir's doing. Please don't litter other people's spaces with your bizarre creations.
I'm
Surprisingly, all
like, look at that. We finally got Rhinedottir's face, and she is gorgeous. A shame she's an absolute monster, but I could fix her. I could probably fix her. You can trust me.
The beer... No. This looks more like Rhinedottir's doing.
Yeah, I've noticed that all these gods have a very similar design.
Bizarre creations.
And it happens to be a design that I really like. They all have the same. Interesting that one of those.
unsurprisingly, all life here has been rendered unstable, tainted by the ruler of space. I have seen enough to know that repeating this experiment would be fruitless.
You see there, that was a false world. Apparently the reason things are so out of whack is because of something to do with the god of space. So the god of space is the one who's running the show and is kind of breaking the world. It is an interesting development, to say the least. I do wonder, though. Is the goddess, like,
You seem to wield my power as if it were nothing but a plaything for...
Okay, I was talking with someone about this last night, but the god of life and Rhinedottir having the same face, like I told her last night, I think it's more just the fact that the god of life went, screw it, you've made us fuse, I'm just gonna look like you. Why not? I do find it interesting that the god of life, though, has a super gentle voice versus Rhinedottir, who has a
For your amusement. Although merging with you has stripped me of agency, I shall still continue to voice my disapproval. My dear Rhinedottir, you have my respect, Nibirius. Your nagging is one of the only things that can get under my skin.
That line is also really interesting. The fact that apparently the mark of respect for Rhinedottir is, you found a way to annoy me. I respect it. It's actually kind of interesting. It has implications on her character. Just like, does that mean that Alice also annoys her? Is that why she respects Alice? Is that why she joined the Hexen Circle? Because Alice pestered her into joining? Also, this now makes a third group Rhinedottir is a part of. She has... Alice is the most important troll in Genshin, but Rhinedottir is slowly becoming the most important character in Genshin, like, period. And I don't... I wonder.
And you, ISTAROTH? Why did you bestow history upon them?
Now, this was the part that made me scream. ISTAROTH, someone who I thought was dead. Way back in 1.0 Mondstadt, we played a quest that wasn't triggered by a person, but just triggered by a random voice. I thought ISTAROTH was dead. She was depicted as as the god of time and Venti's friend. You even go to her island during the quest. But there's a heavy implication that, like most of the gods, was dead from the Archon War. I thought she was dead. I did not realize she was... ISTAROTH, darling. You're making me confused. Either way, though. Hyped to see her. Again, another character whose design I really love, and unfortunately, whatever this group is going to be called in the future, if they become playable, I think I want to pull them.
I had to find some way to pass the time, did I not? After all, it's clear that Asmodee is not here.
Well, perhaps you could share your input.
Also that. This is the first time we got her name, like, at all, which is Asmodee. But where is Asmodee? And another interesting thing is Asmodee is, you know how they're all based on demons. Asmodee is Asmodeus, the demon of lust. Ah, yeah. It is interesting. The Paimon still goes under the same naming convention of Istaroth, Asmodee, and all the others. I just... Not to mention, Paimon herself has design elements from all these guys, as people pointed out. And all of the deities have special eyes, as we see here. They're yellow eyes.
A little early.
Like if we go backwards, she has the yellow eyes. Rhine-Daughter actually is dual-eyed because, two people. Which would make this one, because it matches the colors of the others. This would be Istaroth's eye, and this is Rhine-Daughter's. Actually, I'm just now noticing the two-tone hair. This isn't the true appearance of Rhine-Daughter. The reason they look identical is not because they are. It is not because Istaroth took her form. It's because their physical forms have literally fused into one person. And I noticed this because there is a difference in hairstyle. Right here, there's a difference in hairstyle between the two. It also shows that the Rhine-Daughter one has more blonde prominence in this particular section where there's one of the only differences between the two. Blonde is more prominent, but it's like 50-50. Whereas with Istaroth, the like orange is more prominent. It's making me think that. So I don't think this is either of their true appearances. This is much like in Dragon Ball with the fusion dance, a combination of their appearances. It's also why the outfit itself is like split in two. The Rhine-Daughter and the Rhine-Daughter and the Istaroth outfit.
Has stripped
Or
me
not
of
Istaroth, the other one. Which
I
forget the God of Life's
continue
name.
to voice my disapproval. My dear Rhine-Daughter, you have my respect, Nibirius. Your nagging is one of the only things that can get under my skin.
Nibirius, okay. Which is also a demon.
And you, Istaroth? Why did you bestow history upon them?
Yeah.
I had to find some way to pass the time, did I not? After all, it's clear that Asmodee is not here.
Well, perhaps you could share your input a little earlier next time. But you're right. There's no trace of Asmodee here.
It is interesting that Asmodee is apparently just missing. She got rid of the Traveler, and then she split up the siblings, and then dipped. But yeah, all four of these deities have the same eye color, and it's interesting.
Where has she gone? Anyway, it's time I put this space out of its misery.
Huh. I don't know why I didn't pick up on this before, but apparently the god of death can also kill space. Didn't know it could do that. Hello, Feats. I know a certain friend of mine who would love this. Yeah, Celeste would really enjoy this image. Actually, Belle probably would too.
These meetings are just a formality. Does it really matter that only 3 of us are here?
I, for one, think that we should find her. Since the Heavenly Principles cast us as shades, not one of us has ever missed a meeting.
What if she just switched sides?
It is interesting that when she attacked, she was doing so under the representation of the Heavenly Principles, and now she's missing, and there's a very strong potential that this plot line is more so revealing to us that these 3 are going to go on a manhunt for Asmodee, who, well, I'll just let it play before I say that.
Finding her would do more harm than good.
Now there's an interesting idea. Better than being devoured.
Just switched sides? You make it sound like such a trivial affair. We are shades, shadows of the Heavenly Principles. It's unthinkable.
But that Shadows of the Heavenly Principle thing might also be why they all look so similar.
Unless she loves her new master more than her own self.
Oh, yeah, there it was.
More than her own self.
The idea that Asmodee loves her new master, this implies that Asmodee has disappeared. She found a new master and loves that master more than the Heavenly Principles. And here's where I just have to come out and say it. There is a... So back in the 1.0 days, there was a theory that said that Paimon was the unknown god. And now, because of this trailer, and more specifically this line, it's almost been outright confirmed to us that Paimon is the unknown god, and it's insane. That theory from 1.0 might possibly be true. I just don't know. Anyway.
Renova, do you know that you're being watched?
By whom? Whose gaze could pierce this far?
Interesting that she is being watched. And by this man, who is Conrian, by the way. This was also a massive reveal that Piero, the director, is Conrian. And yeah, while I was talking to my friend last night, she straight up asked me, she's like, did we already know he was Conrian? And I had to be like, nope, we didn't. This is new information. Because this is, oh my goodness, this is insane. I just... Hoyle really decided to drop the biggest lore drop of 2025. The biggest lore bomb of 2025. Yeah, Hoyle really decided that they needed to drop the biggest lore bomb of 2025 on a random Tuesday night. And I'm just like, why? Why are you doing this to me, Hoyle?
I remember those eyes. It was just before I placed the curse of immortality.
Also, this woman is the giant eye that is forcing Capitano to be a pseudo corpse, is the best way I can put it. Which also means that, like, the Traveler forcing her to switch sides will be the cause of. Also, I'd like to point this out. That makes another Conrian adjacent to a Fitsui member, Harbinger. Let's see here. As for confirmed Conrians, we have Capitano and Piero. Child, Bolshnezhnaya, has ties to Sertology through Skirk, and such has ties to Conria in a way. Even though I haven't had a look at Dottori in a while, but I need to look at his eyes, because it would not shock me if he was also Conrian. Actually, come to think of it, how many Fatui have zero? How many Harbingers have zero connection to another nation? I mean, Scaramouche was Inazuma while he was a Fatui. Signora was originally from Mondstadt. We don't know much about Columbina or the others. I'm pretty sure the banker, the little elf banker, whose name I can't remember right now, I'm pretty sure he's pure Snezhnaya with no other attachments. And same with Pantalone. And Pantalone's eyes are always closed. I would not be shocked if he's also Conrian for some reason. All I know is the later we get into the story, the more we learn that people are Conrian. Also, since time travel is apparently a thing in Genshin now, it's entirely possible that Kaya, because we know he's Conrian, was born long before the events of Teyvat. And by time traveling, well, long before the events of the main story, and as a baby was sent time traveling to the future where he was adopted by Gelukstad. Who then, which is why Kaya seemingly was able to avoid the curse of immortality. Because as far as we are aware, Kaya doesn't have the curse of immortality.
Ah, yes. He's an old acquaintance of mine. I'm sure that working for the Tsaritsas helped him let go of his past obsessions.
The Cryo Archon. With her paltry powers, she dares set her gaze on the heavenly principles.
The heavenly principles have yet to awaken. If I were her, I wouldn't pass on that opportunity either.
It is because Rhine isn't fully like one of the servants of the heavenly principles. She acts on her own accord. because only half of her is the god of life. Half of her is still Rhine-Daughter, who is the exact thing that the Heavenly Principles despises. But the lore drop here, that was... So the Heavenly Principles, the same ones that destroyed Conria and sent Asmodee to split up the Travelers and seal them away, that Heavenly Principles is currently sleeping in MIA. It also means that Tsaritsa's playing to its... Actually, come to think of it, now I'm starting to think that Tsaritsa intentionally recruited as many Conrians as she could, because because we know that the change in the Tsaritsa, who used to be the god of love, well, she's technically still is, but she's the god of love who no longer has any love in her heart. But we also know that the thing that changed her was whatever happened during the events of Conria. Of which, at present, we only know of 3 Archons that have actually survived the Conria War, potentially 4. Those 3 being Venti and Zhongli, who have been around since the Archon War, and the only ones who've been around since the Archon. And the Tsaritsa. We know that Nahida, Farina, and A, for a fact, took the role of Archon as a direct result of the previous Archon dying during the Conrian War. And in Nahida's case, she's confirmed to be the most recent Archon. So, with that being said, as the most recent Archon, we also have a general timeline. While she did become the Archon after that, no one knew. As far as the world is concerned, the Archon, as far as the general public of humanity is concerned, the Archon of Inazuma is still Makoto. They just believe that Makoto had some sort of personality shift, much like the Tsaritsa did, right? Because of the Archon, because of what happened in Conria. That's what the general public views it as. So that could be why, but also Venti is the one who confirms to us that Nahida is the most recent Archon to switch over. Malvika, I don't actually know her timeline that well of when she became the Archon, so I don't know if she was around during the Conrian War. I don't know if she was around during the events of Conria. However, because of what Venti said about Nahida being most recent, she probably was, but it was a relatively new and inexperienced Archon at the time. It also means that the 3 Archons at the start of the story had no knowledge of what happened in Conria. 1 that's about a 50-50, and 3 that definitely do. Zhongli it's very apparent that, Zhongli values his contracts, and the Heavenly Principles knew this, so it made Zhongli sign a contract to not talk about Conria. The Tsaritsa hates the Heavenly Principles, so she'll say everything. And then there's Venti, who, despite being the first Archon we met and is a friend, he is the biggest unknown variable in this entire thing between Celestia and humanity. The Heavenly Principles versus the Travelers. And the X factor that might determine everything is straight up Venti, and I don't know why. Venti, when are you going to drop your second story quest? Most other Archons have it. When are you dropping yours?
My dear Rhine-daughter, you know I cannot allow you to think that way.
It was purely hypothetical, Nibirius.
Yeah. That scene, going back to what I said before, how Rhine-daughter, the one speaking, isn't actually affiliated with the Heavenly Principles, even though her and the God of Time share a body. Or the God of Life, sorry. Her and the God of Life share a body, but they are still very much on different sides.
For lack of a direct order, I say it's time we intervened. Of course, to the extent permitted by the rules.
Something tells me the God of Death is going to be our biggest hurdle. I love
The
Kira.
gaze of the gods has always been considered a blessing. Hence the origin and meaning of visions. People have always yearned for the gaze of the gods. And yet, it is said that when mortals look directly upon the gods, they invite their wrath and retribution. And what of it? Lives will be lost, a nation brought to ruins. So be it. It is nothing I have not endured before. I
did love that little flash of all those different locations. Some of them I do recognize. Some of them I don't. But it really does show you the scale of Kira traveling through all of that.
already know the price of gazing upon the gods. So tell me, what is the price of killing a god? The god stays silent.
That is an interesting line. What is the price of killing a god? He's already seen the punishment from Conria when they, went beyond what the Heavenly Principles wanted. So now he's like, well, I've already been cursed by the gods. Might as well see how far I can take this. I'm gonna kill them. Which I'm not entirely sure you can kill the God of Death or the God of Life. Also, I have no idea what consequences that would have.
As if the thought had never once crossed his mind. To all those who dare not look up to the heavens, Her Majesty the Tsaritsa says this. Behold. Even the gods have their limits.
Yeah, I mean, we already knew this, but the Tsaritsa is planning just a straight up all out war with Celestia. Huh. Even though we've been the enemy of the Fatui the entire time, I can't help but feel like we're going to fight against Celestia, which will turn the Tsaritsa into our ally.
Inspection over. Return to your posts.
Make sure the...
Yeah. This was also something. This chick seems like a generic NPC, but her design also reminds me of this one chick in Zenless Zone Zero, whose name I don't know. So, I don't play Zenless Zone Zero, by the way. I just know what some of the characters look like, and I know what this one... This one very much resembles a Zenless Zone Zero character, and I don't know why. I don't know if she's an NPC or important, but I do know is that she had a unique enough design for me to notice.
Frostmoon Scions don't pose a threat.
Per the Pale Star Edict, we are to retrieve the damselette from Nod Cry, whatever it takes.
I wonder what the heck the glitching is about. Because the only other person we've seen glitch like that is Arlecchino, and I don't know why she does that either. But also because the Fatui are going to Nod Cry with the explicit purpose of bringing Columbina back. Columbia is 100% going to appear in the Not Cry Archon Quest. And I'm on about a 50-50 of her being playable. I think she might be one of the playable Harbingers. And that was it. Anyway, that was that. Think about how insane all that is. This was a 10-minute thing, and they dropped that much lore on us? Hoyle broke my brain. I had gotten off of work. My friend, she sent me that video. She's like, take a look at this. I looked at it and went, holy, emergency stream time. I'm tired right now, but man, and I am going to play that in the morning so I can show everyone my reaction, which, by the way, since I was half asleep when I watched the first time, I noticed way more details this time, and I'm just like, ah! Bruh, I am. Yeah, so that happened. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.